What would your reaction be if we told you that a beautiful priestess became one of the most feared monsters in Greek mythology? Well, in Greece, there's a story about a cursed creature that lurked in the shadows among all the other scary monsters that haunted people's dreams. This creature was one of the scariest of them all, and many brave heroes tried to hunt it down, but none of them ever came back. People said it was so ugly that nobody could even look at it. This infamous priestess is none other than Medusa. But Medusa wasn't always a scary monster. In fact, she used to be one of the most beautiful women in the world. She was born to two sea deities, Phorcys and Ceto, just like a regular child. Medusa also had two sisters named Stheno and Euryale, and they were known as Gorgons, which were creatures that had both human and snake-like features. Interestingly, Medusa had a special connection with the goddess Athena from a young age. When she played with her sisters, she always took on the role of Athena, the noble and heroic figure, while her sisters reveled in being the villains. Medusa also had a close friend named Iphicles, a boy who became her dearest companion. Their bond was unbreakable. As the years went by, Medusa's beauty continued to bloom, capturing the hearts of all who crossed her path. Her beauty did not go unnoticed by Eros, the mischievous god of love, who saw Medusa as an easy target for his love arrows. Iphicles, deeply in love with Medusa, eventually confessed his feelings to her. While Medusa cherished his love, she also held on to her dream of becoming a priestess of Athena, a path that required her to stay focused and avoid romantic distractions. When the time came for her to begin her journey as an Athena priestess, Medusa's dedication knew no bounds. In the temple, the apprentices were expected to maintain unwavering purity and discipline as their actions reflected upon the goddess herself. The most important rule for the priestesses of Athena was absolute chastity. They were to be like Athena, who had never fallen victim to the allure of love. Medusa became the epitome of a perfect priestess, maybe even too perfect. Her rituals and demeanor attracted a growing following who admired her grace and beauty. Some even dared to claim that Medusa's hair was as beautiful as Athena's. Athena, watching from Olympus, understood that many were now coming not to worship her, but to admire her enchanting priestess. Though jealousy stirred within her, Athena resisted taking action because she knew that Medusa was not at fault. She was simply doing her priestly duties. Meanwhile, on Mount Olympus, Poseidon, the god of the sea, noticed Athena's unease. He and Athena had a long-standing rivalry, both vying to be the patron god of Athens, the capital of the Attica region. Athena had won that battle, leading to the city's renaming in her honor. But Poseidon still held a grudge and sought a chance for revenge. Observing Athena closely, Poseidon devised a plan to tarnish her reputation by targeting her most virtuous follower, Medusa. Unbeknownst to Medusa, the gods of Olympus were watching her every move, and her life was about to take a dramatic turn. One day, as she strolled along the beach, a powerful god named Poseidon, hidden beneath the waves, called out to her. Startled, Medusa turned toward the ocean, and Poseidon emerged from the water, showing off his divine glory. He tried to use his godly charm to win over Medusa, who was captivated by his magnificence. But Medusa, despite being enchanted by his beauty, remained committed to her vows as a priestess of Athena and resisted Poseidon's advances. She pushed Poseidon away with unexpected force, striking him in the face. Enraged by her rejection and consumed by desire, Poseidon pursued Medusa relentlessly. She fled to the one place she felt safe, Athena's temple. But Poseidon, blinded by his lust and determined to possess her, continued to chase her, throwing Medusa's life into turmoil. Medusa rushed to Athena's temple, the only place she considered safe. However, Poseidon, driven by desire, pursued her relentlessly. He was getting closer to her when a courageous Iphicles stood firmly between the god and Medusa. Despite his bravery, the man couldn't stop Poseidon, who easily pushed him aside. Medusa entered the temple dedicated to her goddess and prayed for protection as she heard Poseidon's heavy footsteps approaching. The god came closer to the frightened young woman, who cried out for help and forcibly overpowered Medusa on the goddess's altar and corrupted her body. He left the temple content, as his revenge had succeeded beyond his expectations. Not only had he corrupted Athena's best priestess, but he had also defiled the cherished temple, which meant a lot to the goddess for its purity. In a distant time, Medusa found herself in a challenging situation. Goddess Athena had taken the form of her statue and was very angry, blaming the priestess for all sorts of problems. Athena scolded Medusa, saying that her presence led men astray from the path of goodness and purity, thanks to her irresistible self-love. Athena was very mad, claiming that if it weren't for Medusa, her temple would have remained pure and her divine honor untarnished. As a result of Athena's anger, she decided to punish the priestess who had brought shame to the temple she was supposed to care for. Night fell, and Iphicles, a concerned friend, regained consciousness after a strong blow he had suffered. He began searching for Medusa and eventually heard her cries in Athena's temple. Iphicles found Medusa sitting on the ground, crying in the darkness. She begged him to stay away, not wanting to be seen in such a state. Despite her plea, Iphicles approached her to offer comfort. However, when he touched her shoulder, a snake hidden in her hair bit his hand. Startled, Medusa turned to face him, and they locked eyes. In an instant, Athelios turned into a stone statue, forever frozen in his tracks. Devastated, Medusa wept, hugging the statue of her dear friend. Fearing she might harm others, she ran away, but during her escape, some city residents caught sight of her. Those who gazed into her eyes turned to stone, and stories of the frightening snake-haired creature began to circulate. A group formed to hunt her down, but those who ventured out to capture her never returned, leaving behind only petrified statues as grim reminders. To look at it more closely, Medusa had no intentions of hurting anyone. She simply wanted to defend herself from unwarranted aggression. She decided to hide in an abandoned region that had been empty of people for centuries. There, she stumbled upon an ancient temple in ruins, which she transformed into her shelter. Many warriors attempted to capture the Gorgon for fame, but none ever returned. Isolated and alone, Medusa slowly lost her remaining humanity, and her reputation as a terrible monster became famous. She survived by hunting small animals and rodents, living a sad existence. One day, while on the hunt, she stumbled upon an ancient bust representing the goddess Athena. She realized that these ruins had once been one of the first temples to shelter the goddess. This discovery rekindled her ancient habits, and Medusa started caring for the temple, honoring the glory of Athena, the daughter of Zeus. Despite her miserable existence, she remained noble in her actions. In her heavenly abode, Athena noticed the honorable acts of her former priestess and began to feel sorry for the cruel and irreversible punishment she had imposed on the girl. During one of her rituals, Medusa heard the footsteps of another intruder, and her wild instincts took over as she prepared to confront yet another opponent. The daring warrior approached cautiously, unaware of the creature lurking in the shadows. As she prepared to ambush him, she was shocked to see that he carried Athena's shield, the sacred aegis that once belonged to Zeus. Athena's shield was so shiny that it acted like a mirror, allowing the warrior to spot the monster behind him. With a quick and strong blow, the young warrior severed Medusa's head from her body. As Medusa fell lifeless, her blood dripped onto the ground. The warrior, who had been unknown until that moment, would go down in history as Perseus. After completing his quest, Perseus returned Athena's aegis and presented her with Medusa's head. What few knew was that Medusa carried Poseidon's divine seed, and from her blood Chrysaor was born, a warrior wielding a golden sword. Not only that, but a majestic winged horse, Pegasus, also emerged, representing all the purity that had been taken from his mother. Many believed that Athena's help to Perseus was an act of revenge against Medusa. However, in truth, Athena only wished to free the young girl from her dreadful existence, which had been unfairly imposed upon her. Athena immortalized Medusa by adding her Gorgon's head to her shield, preserving the image of the loyal priestess beside the goddess she loved so dearly. In the end, Medusa's story serves as a reminder that even the most terrifying monsters can have tragic backstories, and sometimes compassion and understanding can lead to redemption and reconciliation.